Well, ain't that a sight? But I'm going to talk about the atomic bomb. And when I walked by the mirror to go back and comb my hair, I decided the atomic bomb's enough to make anybody's hair stand up on end. So maybe I look just right for the topic. That visit to White Sands at the time didn't mean to me what it meant to me now as I recall it. Really got me to thinking about the atomic bomb. Reminded me that while I was in the service over in the combat zone, was sent to a school to be trained in how to detect using the various detection devices, how to detect radiation if we happen to go into an area where the atomic bomb had been used. And then I realized that, when you went back and eventually ended up at Alamosa, Colorado, went down to Los Alamos several times on various school-related trips. Los Alamos is a community that grew up around the atomic bomb sites where they developed the bomb. Didn't know much about it, except that it was a lifesaver for me. Later, when I was teaching and around schools, when the hippie movement was in, and everybody, and even after the hippie movement, more when those kids then became the teachers, they were telling the kids, it was terrible that we used that bomb. Should have never been used, never been built. Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm grateful it was used. I think I would have been in on the invasion of Japan as a grunt, as a, what they call cannon fodder. Chances are I would have been killed, and if it wasn't me, there would have been thousands of kids killed. Those Japanese fought like the devils, fought like great soldiers, island by island. And if you think they wouldn't fight even harder to protect their women, their children, their property, their land, whoa! Well, I want to cover a few points about the atomic bomb. The reason I know quite a bit about it is not that I ever would have on my own done anything, but when Kayla, my oldest daughter's second daughter, was, junior high, early high school, she was assigned to write a paper on the atomic bomb, and she called up and said, "Grandpa, you know a lot about that." I don't know as I do. Of course you do. You were around when all this was going on. Okay, I'll do a little research and get back to you. Well, I read at least 3 big books and 1 little book. The little book was written by one of the Hershey men of the Hershey chocolate business. I think his first name was John, but it won't be hard for you if you go to the library and ask for a book on the atomic experience in Japan written by a Hershey, H-E-R-S-H-E-Y, just like the Hershey candy bar. Well, the first thing I want to say is that I appreciate it being built. And the second was that I went to that school. And the third, fourth, I've already covered those. All right, now we get down to what I really want to say. The first thing that comes to my attention in reading those books is that our military and our top scientific community at that time didn't believe those escapees from Europe, a lot of them Jewish scientists, who came into our country and was telling our people, our scientific community and so on, hey, Hitler is developing a new huge bomb that's based on atoms. The idea was poo-pooed. The second idea was that these were bona fide scientists, but they were Jewish. Don't let anybody kid you. Just like there's prejudice now against people across the border, there was plenty of prejudice about Jews in America at that time. It wasn't all over in Germany. So they were blown off. They were ignored. Well, they don't want Hitler to win. Very obviously, a man that's destroying their families, killing their daughters, their wives, their grandparents. They're desperate to see us do something, and they're smart. They figure out who would have the stature to be listened to. Einstein. So they went to Einstein. he listened, he believed, and he got an appointment. Point 4, he got an appointment with Roosevelt, President Roosevelt. President Roosevelt listened, and, you know, Einstein was already recognized then as probably the greatest scientist that ever lived. So he ordered the military, get with it, get a program going. The military, though, still didn't really believe. Yeah, you know, we know more than the president. And they put I started calling him an idiot. They put a hard-nosed skeptic in charge of the whole project, and he gave a lot of roadblocks here and there, but he didn't dare really do anything bad because he's ordered to get it done. Well, then it ends up that these damn guys, they don't know what they're doing. Half of them want to build the bomb this way, and half of them want to build it that way. Well, one of them wanted to build one group believed the best way to build that bomb was on expulsion, and the other one believed it was on impulsion. So they had a compromise. Okay, here's a section where you guys work and go for it on implosion. Here's a section you guys work on it on explosion. Go both ways. Oppenheimer was the head scientist in charge for the scientific community there at Los Alamos, and eventually they had a bomb ready to test. That's what they tested down there where we were, White Sands. And the books quoted him as saying that he was scared to death when it was the time to he had built a little tower and had the bomb up there and so on the day that they pulled the cord, and they had troops all over here in trenches to watch, to be witnesses to this thing. Pulled it and nothing happened. You know, for a few seconds, and he was quoted as saying, "Oh my God," to himself, "all this and we failed." And then boom! Boom! And the magnitude of the explosion was such. What? Okay. My wife's hearing all that noise. She's scared to death. Okay. Yes! So the explosion was so awesome that then he was scared to death that those people who had said you shouldn't do this, you set off that kind of a bomb and it will keep magnifying and destroy the entire earth. And for a minute or two he thought maybe it would. I guess it was an awesome, awesome thing to see. Well, it sure worked. And then they had 2 bombs. Just 2 bombs ready to go. And Roosevelt ordered to take the Enola Gay and get over there and drop it. And it worked too. As you know, just a few days later when Japan thought, nah, they didn't really cause that. God did that or something, but those guys didn't do that with a bomb. So it took 2 bombs to convince Japan to surrender. But they did. Well, for a month, or actually for several years afterwards, there was an argument. What we now call neocons wanted this, while we have the bomb and nobody else have it, let's take charge of the entire world and make everybody fall in line. Other people said, no, that's not a democratic thing to do. It's not who we are, and no, let's don't do it. And I'm not saying we should have or we shouldn't do it, but even while I was going through that bachelor's degree before we went to White Sands, there was plenty of argument back and forth. Well, anyway, that ding-dong said, that's enough, Mr. Riggs. Get that book by Hershey and read it to understand the human loss in that first atomic bomb or 2.